Today, we're ranking every single Dodge Viper ever made. At the bottom of my list is the 1992 to 1995 Dodge Viper with the 8-liter V10 pushing around 400 horsepower. This car came with no safety features whatsoever. I would also believe this is one of the most dangerous Vipers ever made. The reason this is at the bottom of my list is, I can't lie, it's a funky looking car, alright? I don't mess with that funky looking, Duplo looking at a car, alright? I'm also likely to believe that this Viper is probably the reason for like the 30% of all Dodge Vipers were crashed within the first 30 days statistics. Yeah, like there's a lot of them being crashed. I mean, other than that, it's really just a funky looking car. I do not like the way it looks. At fourth place on my list is the Gen 3 Dodge Viper from 2003 to 2006 with an 8.3 liter V10 pushing around 500 horsepower. The reason this is fourth place on my list, it's not ugly, I would say, but it's not the prettiest either. It's too basic. It doesn't have that, Viper feeling to it, when you look at the other Vipers, you can tell it's a proper Viper. But when you look at the Gen 3 Viper, you don't get that feeling at all. And I swear, 90% of these cars are all unk specs. I haven't seen there's probably a couple, one or two cool ones here and there on the Facebook Marketplace or whatever car site you're using to buy cars. But other than that, I feel like this is when the Viper went into their unk phase, the Corvette unk phase. In third place on my list is the Gen 4 Dodge Viper from 2008 to 2010, coming with an 8.4 liter V10 pushing around 600 horsepower. Comparing the pictures, you may perceive that this looks like the exact same car. But the truth be told, it's completely different underneath. They completely redone the motor and then redone the outside bits and gave it more functional aero openings in the hood. It was more track oriented. The only reason this is above the Gen 3 Viper is because this is the cooler Gen 3 Viper, hence why it's called Gen 4. If you put the Gen 3 Viper and the Gen 4 Viper, side by side and compare the two, the hood makes a huge difference. The Gen 3 Viper just looks like a unk spec, and then the Gen 4 Viper looks like a cool, really cool sports car. If I'm not mistaken, Hennessy took a Gen 4 Dodge Viper and modified it slightly. Best looking Hennessy Vipers in my opinion, at least. Second on my list is the Gen 2 Dodge Viper from 1996 to 2002 with an 8-liter V10 pushing around 450 horsepower. This was just a more refined, updated model of the Gen 1 Viper. This should have been the Gen 1 Viper. The Gen 2 Viper is just superior in every way, in design language wise. The long hood, and they really perfected the hardtop this time, unlike the Gen 1 Dodge Viper. This was one of the best looking 90s American muscle car at the time. This Viper was also the poster car of a lot of American 90s kids that were growing up in the 2000s. But moving on from that, let's talk about the Viper I grew up with. The 5th gen Dodge Viper from 2013 to 2017 with the 8.4 liter V10 pushing around 640 horsepower. Now, I grew up watching Top Gear. In one of the later seasons of the show, I don't remember the episode count, I'll probably just put it up on screen here. The Top Gear trio was in America for some Grand Touring Car Challenge. I don't know. Richard Hammond's choice was the 2013 Dodge Viper. And that was one of the first times I saw the new Dodge Viper, and that was one of the best looking American muscle cars I've ever seen. Ever since then, I just kept looking more and more into Dodge Vipers. And in my opinion, you really can't go wrong with any of these. Even the base model is so good looking. Even, you have the ACR and then you got the Extreme ACR. This was also one of the last pure American modern muscle cars ever made. In the 2010s, a lot of American manufacturers just started adding a lot of safety equipment to their muscle cars, hence removing that feeling of raw driving experience. But the Viper never did that. And because of that was sort of a double-edged sword, and that's probably what led to the Viper's demise in 2017, when they had to halt production and discontinue the Gen 5 Viper. I don't think they will ever bring back this car. Because with modern regulations nowadays, everything is so strict to the point where I don't know if you can make a proper Viper. Alright, that's the end of my list. Subscribe.